Welcome, everyone, to the Township Council meeting Monday, August 26, 2024. This meeting is now called to order. Vice Commander Eldridge, would you like to lead us in the flag salute, sir? Please come up to the podium. After the flag salute, please remain standing for a moment of silence for Congressman Bill Pasquarello, a servant who passed away recently.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Madam Clerk, will you read the statement of public notice, please?
Take notice that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with NJSA 10:4-8 and NJSA 10:4-10 as follows. A notice of the meeting was prominently posted on the bulletin board at the municipal building located at 225 Main Street, Little Falls, New Jersey on January 4th, 2024. A copy of the notice was sent to the North Jersey Herald and News and the Record on the same date. Additionally, a copy of the notice was filed in the office of the Township Clerk on said date. A link and a telephone number to join the meeting virtually can be accessed on the Township website at www.lfnj.com. Electronic provisions have been established for the public to participate during the public comment portion of the meeting.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, please call the roll.
Councilmember Patel,
Present.
Councilmember Murphy,
Present.
Councilmember Hablitz,
Present.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Present.
Council President Scoba.
Present. We'll take the minutes of the first meeting of July 22nd. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Murphy, second by Councilwoman Hablitz. This is a roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Patel,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy.
Yes.
Councilmember Hablitz,
Abstained.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes of the meeting August 12th, 2024?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Vanchery,
Second.
second by Councilman Murphy. This is a roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Patel,
Abstain.
Councilmember Murphy.
Yes.
Councilmember Hablitz.
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery,
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes. Mayor Damiano.
Thank you, Council President. This evening, got a couple of updates and reports townwide. The first of which is our Stevens Ave parking lot behind the former PNC Bank. The parking lot is now open for business. Almost 100 spots are going to be located in that lot. It is right now only partially striped, and it is not complete in the sense that the top coat has not been paved on it yet, as well as a number of PSE&G telephone poles need to be relocated that are currently and now within the lot to the outside of the lot. The light poles still need to be added. Some of the concrete work around the outside needs to be done. Some of the landscaping will be added. But the lot is open for people to utilize, for people to park in, for people to visit our businesses. We're pleased after a couple months here of work now, almost 2 full months of work, that the lot will be open for everybody to again begin utilizing in town. There will be some work, and there will be a day in the future when it is ultimately going to be paved and striped, where the lot will need to be closed down for a 24 to 48 hour period. But in the meantime, we didn't want to keep it closed just for those, just while we wait for PSE&G to come and relocate the telephone poles. So good news on that front. Those spaces, again, will be open again. So we are ready and able to utilize that lot at everyone's convenience to visit all of our downtown businesses. The next topic is our streetscape. The streetscape right next to the municipal lot is continuing up and down Stevens Ave all the way up to Walnut Street. We have a contractor that has been working for the past 2 weeks now, and today being the first day of the third week, who is really moving to get this project done in advance of school starting this upcoming week. Unfortunately, and I hate to throw PSE&G under the bus again, but it was public service that we were waiting on in order to get they call it the red line drawings, the electrical drawings of where the electric needs to be run for the light poles. Well, we only received that about 2.5 weeks ago. So the contractor started a couple days after receiving that. They are moving very quickly. They do anticipate having it done, especially with the weather this week that we are forecasting to be relatively nice and hot on some days, but nice to have construction work completed. So we are looking to have that done within the next handful of days. There will be some additional work that will be happening closer to the intersection of Main Street and Stevens Ave by the contractor, but largely the work in front of the school will not impact traffic. It will not have an impact on school drop-offs and pickups, especially for the first day of school, which we know can be a little bit crazier. So we are looking forward to that work being completed. as we continue to beautify our downtown and add to our streetscapes. And so, Council President, if I may just jump to a couple of the agenda items before circling back to any council questions. The first three resolutions this evening are all pretty simple. We see them regularly now. They're the affordable assistance grants that we provide to individuals moving in under the COA obligation, though it's A, B, and C. And then D and E are both for modifications in change orders in original contract prices. Fortunately, or unfortunately, D is a small increase of about $28,000 for our streetscape section 3, which was the downtown area where the traffic light is. But fortunately, item E is a resolution for a decrease in our contract price in the amount of just over $37,000 for Wilmore Park. And that's because there were a couple of items that the contractor had anticipated utilizing that were not necessary in the park. So we're receiving a credit for those items in the amount of $37,000. So it's not every day that we see decrease in change orders, but for that one, we are fortunate to see. Are there any questions that I can answer from the council before turning it back over?
Mayor, would you like to explain why the increase of the 28,000 on resolution D?
Yeah, this is an unfortunate increase that we saw here on our downtown streetscape. It had to do with a bit of a delay and some issues that we had with the county and obtaining permits, and the contractor was stalled for a small period of time that caused some of the product that we had to no longer be usable. So unfortunately, that's one that, again, we never like to see change orders, especially for just delays. This was not one that the township or the contractor could have foreseen, and those issues do seem to now be resolved and addressed with the county. So we shouldn't have any issues with that moving forward.
Mayor, when pulled into the parking lot this evening along with Councilman Murphy, there's a couple of new shiny vehicles. Do you know anything about those new vehicles that we have in our parking lot?
So some of the vehicles that appear very shiny and new are not actually new vehicles. We have repainted a couple of our actually old police cars from a number of years ago that have been repurposed. They were painted in black. They did say Township of Little Falls previously for a number of years. They have since been repainted to white vehicles, relabeled as township cars, and some small minor repairs were made to those as well for our inspectors. So some of the very shiny cars, although the paint may appear very new, are relatively old vehicles, but still running well. So we're happy to have those repurposed. We also have a couple of new additional administrative cars that have been added to the fleet. And we're hoping that the various Chevy and Ford and Dodge can ultimately deliver several more police cars that we've been waiting on, but are on some tremendous back order. Unfortunately, Ford, I think, overpromised something to the tune of 30,000 vehicles a year ago and have still not been able to make good on all of their orders. So we're still looking to add to the fleet. These are not cars that are over and above what was originally anticipated in our budget this year. It's just the budgeted cars have still not arrived or been ordered in some cases just due to these delays. So hopefully we'll have a couple of more shiny cars that will, again, not have any additional impact on the taxpayers here.
And did we receive delivery of those new administrative vehicles yet, Mayor?
We did. We received 2 of our new administrative vehicles, so we are caught up on our administrative vehicles. Unfortunately, it tends to be the pursuit-rated police cars that are the issue. Probably the more important vehicles to have ASAP are the ones that are more difficult to get, quickly. So we are still working on that. I know the chief, along with a number of the officers, are working on securing those vehicles.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from the governing body?
I got one
Through
question.
the floor, Councilman Vanchery.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks for opening up the parking lot. It's much needed. It's unfortunate that it's taken this long. Quick question, is it possible to have DPW paint some arrows going in and going out? Just because it's going to be different for people because there's only one entrance and exit, so.
Yep. So unfortunately, when the DPW was there painting this past weekend, there was still a lot of obstacles and objects in the lot when they got started because the contractor had not relocated all of their items and their piles yet. The DPW will be back there over the next handful of days to finish restriping some various sections of the lot where there will be additional spaces. They're also going to be adding some traffic arrows because you're right, circulation of the new lot is going to be a little bit different. Well, I guess not too different in that you're going to be able to pull in and drive down one aisle all the way to the end, turn around at the end and come back in a separate drive aisle. It will not be two-way traffic in any of the drive aisles. So that will be restriped. We will have some arrows added there. It is wide enough that vehicles could pass in both directions. So it's not a major safety issue. It is a 24-foot drive aisle, which is sufficient to back out of straight spaces, sufficient to have 2 cars passing. In fact, most traffic lanes, I believe, are only required to be 11 feet wide each, 22 feet in total, which we have in excess of here. So it's not unsafe if it happens, but certainly getting everybody used to the new circulation plan there is something that we're looking to do. So adding some arrows is something I've already talked to our DPW about.
Okay. And one other thing too is, can we look at on Stevens Ave, because everything that's being done in front of the school, obviously the parking spots, everything changes a little bit. If we can get them to kind of restripe along Stevens before school starts and mark off, because don't forget too, there were certain parts that had yellow curbs that are no longer there. So if we can look into that as well, just to make sure our school opens up next week, we're prepared.
Yep, getting some of the ADA spaces remarked soon is something we're also looking to do in front of the school that were previously there. They will remain there, unfortunately. Obviously, when the signs were removed as the construction was occurring and waiting for new signs to be installed, but we could have them marked again.
Thanks, Mayor. That's it.
Any other comments through the floor? Seeing none, we'll move forward. Councilman Murphy, why don't you start us off?
Thank you, Council President. First off, I'd like to send my condolences to the family of Congressman Pasquarello. I know he wasn't our current congressional representative, but has served Little Falls in the past. And to this day, I still hear residents speaking about him and the work that he's done. He left an impact on everybody. So I just want to send my condolences. Definitely a figure that will be missed in our area. And I want to just send my condolences to the family again. We have a busy month coming up in October for Domestic Violence Prevention Month. So that means we'll be working pretty hard in September. So some of the things we'll be working on, we have ribbons getting prepped to go up on the telephone poles in town. Be working with Council President Scoba as well as John Pace for doing a presentation for the seniors, along with the prosecutor's office on domestic violence and elderly population. Also be having our flag raising coming up in October. So definitely a busy month that we have coming up. So a lot to do at our September meeting. So if anybody's interested in joining in for all that, we'll be having our September meeting on the second Tuesday of September in the upstairs community room of Town Hall. That's all I have, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Murphy. Councilman Vanchery?
Thanks, Council President. I too want to echo my condolences to the Pasquarello family. Congressman Pasquarello was a staple in the state of New Jersey, coming from Patterson like I did. He was my mayor, my assemblyman, and congressman at one point as well. He definitely left a mark on this state for all the work that he did for so many towns within Passaic County, Bergen County. So just want to offer my condolences as well. Just a couple other updates on my end. Just a reminder, on September 11th, we will have our annual 9/11 ceremony take place at Wilmore Road Park at 6 p.m. All are welcome to attend, just putting together the program. I have a number of different special guests that are going to perform or say a few words during the ceremony. So if everyone can join us, that'd be great. Also, one other update from our last meeting is after last storm, I mentioned that Senator Kristen Corrado, as well as Assemblyman Al Barlas, have been reaching out to the DEP to try to get an update on the Peckman River situation. Senator Corrado, her office actually heard back from the DEP and got hey, we're reviewing this. We'll get back to you. Hopefully some progress, because I think we all know that with the Peckman and all the erosion, it'd be nice if we can get the right officials to come out to look at the scene and come up with a plan, because every time there's a storm, I know we all get a little edgy, but so more to come, hopefully, and just grateful that, we have some allies within the state that are trying to help too with this situation. That's it for me.
Thank you, Councilman Vanchery. Councilwoman Havelis?
Thank you, Council President. I too would like to echo my condolences to Congressman Bill Pasquarello's family. As Councilman Vanchery said, he was very well known in the area throughout the state, and he has done he's done great things for Little Falls, including being one of the congressmen, in addition to Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill, who has gotten us funding for the Peckman River. So a very big thank you to him. We'll forever be grateful. Library updates. The library had a wonderful program last week. It was a Polish cultural dancing and food night. Myself, Councilman Vanchery, and Council President Scoba all attended. There was some great dancing The kids were amazing, and there were amazing pierogies made by the volunteers of our own St. John's Russian Church. So many thanks to all that made that happen that night. Coming up this week, the library will host a Royal Tea Club, sip tea and talk about everything royal. This event will be at 11 a.m. and you must register at the library website. There's other great things going on at the library. All of their events are on their website and their social media pages to keep you up to date. So check out those pages. It's yard sale time again. September 15th, we will have our townwide yard sale with a rain date of September 16th. You can register at Community Pass. And also, it's time again for our Run Little Falls Spooky Sprint 5K. This is a costume optional race. It will be October 20th at 9 a.m. I'm looking forward to everyone on this council showing up in their best costume. Registration is open at Run Sign Up, and you can also access the link from our Little Falls Recreation page. This morning, I was also in contact with one of our residents who has reached out wanting to restart our run club. So we were talking to the recreation department. I think it's going to start out as a couch potato to 5K, preparing people for the run. So more to follow on that. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Havelitz. Councilwoman Patel?
Thank you, Council President. I too want to echo my condolences for the Pascrell family. The congressman lived a life of service, and he's definitely not going to be forgotten. I also want to thank John Beagle from the Health Department and his team for being at the meeting in the beginning of the month, just to give their annual report, and honestly, just overall everything that they do for Little Falls. Two upcoming events. Tomorrow on the 27th, there's a children's immunization clinic. It's from 9 to 11. You do have to register, so if you want to make an appointment, just call 973-470-5777. And then on Thursday, September 26th, the Clifton Health Department with Alzheimer's New Jersey is going to hold a program. It's called Understanding Memory Loss. That's going to be at 10:30 at the Civic Center. Again, you do have to register, so you can call 973-470-5773, or as always, just reach out to me and I can register for you. And that's all I have, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman Patel. Yes, the New Jersey have lost a very good Congressman, Bill Pascrell. If anyone was able to ever talk to him, he was full of stories and full of great wisdom. I do want to piggyback a little bit off of what Councilwoman Havelitz said about the Peckman Preserve. Going back about 25 years or so, that was going to be a homes. It was called the Alferi Track. And a builder had the right to put up, I think it was about 28 or 30 houses there. And that builder had all the right in the world to do it. Well, at that time, the governing body and some activists in town got a hold of the congressman, and that's when he got that funding to buy that builder, make him go away. Of course, the builder did get a pretty nice piece of change for the property. Well, you know, it was going to be to about 28 homes, but that money came from the federal government. Had those homes been built, I guess we would have been known like the Venice of Passaic County, because that was, as we all know, a heavy flood area. So going forward, that will be the Peckman Preserve. On February the 27th at 12 p.m., Dr. Jack Zuckerman is going to be doing an arthritis program at the Civic Center. That will be on the calendar as well as coming out in an email blast. Those wanting to attend can get in contact with me. The number will be on that flyer. And I also think, Councilwoman, that the county Clifton Health Department wants to do a program called WISE with us. So we'll hook up and see a date that we can bring that forward to our community. It's important, as you heard, Councilman Murphy and Councilwoman Patel and myself, keeping the seniors very knowledgeable in health-related issues. You know, not all doctors and professions of healthcare are covered by, you know, Medicare, Medicaid, and so whatever services we can offer free of charge is what we try to do here in Little Falls. We do have a new banner that's going to be going up, a name that probably a lot of people here may be familiar with, Stanley Dombrowski, Air Force Sergeant. He's a staff sergeant, and his dates of service was from 1942 to 1945. This banner program has been very successful and we're very proud of it. I want to thank the Vince Catrone helping me along with Cynthia to make these banners go up along with the DPW staff. Counselor Wenzel, you're in our presence. Do you have anything this evening?
No, Council President, other than to just advise the council that we're continuing to monitor the affordable housing situation with regard to the new law and the DCA's response thereto. We received notification that the DCA has was not satisfied with its prior software in terms of receiving information from the town. So now they've upgraded to a new set of software. And having gone through many iterations of software upgrades in my own office, I think we can see how that's going to go. So I am, once again, we have some dates that are coming up in October. Believe it or not, we're very, very close to that at this point. So I'm keeping an eye on that in terms of what the DEP is going to do in terms of at that point, DCA, be clear, excuse me. The DCA is supposed to indicate affordable housing obligation numbers to all New Jersey communities. Let's see what happens. As they say on billboards, watch this space. So any updates I will be happy to provide to council, but at this point, that's all.
Thank you, Counselor. There's a movement among some municipalities. It's the township, I think, of Montville, the mayor there. I reached out to him. He has not gotten back to me yet concerning suing the state concerning this issue. You have any opinion on that or the thoughts regarding municipalities joining together to launch a lawsuit against the state?
Yeah, I've seen the letter, Council President, and I understand where the mayor is coming from. And I understand that there's a huge concern by municipalities all up and down the state about what this obligation is going to be. And it's still yet to be determined. So to some degree, these communities are operating in a certain level of ignorance, not because they want to, but because they have to. They're awaiting information to come from the state. So, but I have not heard anything further with regard to that letter. If there's any action that's sort of been solidified in terms of what is going to be undertaken by these municipalities that sign on. So I will also keep an eye on that. And if there's any further information with regard to that, I will certainly let the council know. But at this point, that letter is mostly aspirational.
Thank you, Counselor. Chief Pearl, before I ask you to speak, I bumped into a resident that had a great comment about a member of your force, Officer Hablitz, who on Route 23 saved his dog from dying. And he was really moved and touched by that. Because if it wasn't for Officer Hablitz at that given moment, that dog unfortunately would have passed away. So I just want to pass that on. Chief?
Just two items. Next week, obviously the schools will be back in session, so we're just reminding all of our residents, especially in the first couple days, plan a little extra time to get little Johnny and little Susie to school. We're, could have a couple lost buses. The police department is well aware of the issues that we face in the beginning couple days of school. Just bear with us, some traffic in and around the schools. And just remind everybody to just watch their driving behavior when the kids are out. And happy to report that we did receive another enforcement grant. It's running from August 22nd to September 16th. That is the Labor Day crackdown for drive sober or get pulled over. So that would be 100 hours of reimbursable enforcement that would cost, nothing to the taxpayer. So we took advantage of that. That's all I have.
Thank you. Have a motion to open the meeting to the public for agenda items.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Vanchery. Was that second by Councilwoman Hablitz? I'm sorry, it's second by Councilwoman Patel. There's a voice vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk?
Anyone wishing to address the Township Council may do so through the Council President. It is preferred if you give your name and address for the record. Comments are to be limited to 3 minutes. However, if appropriate, you may be granted additional time in the sole discretion of the Council President. Members of the public who have joined the meeting virtually and desire to provide comment shall raise their virtual hand in the Zoom application. The meeting moderator will cue the members of the public that wish to provide comment, and the council president will recognize them in order. Members of the public who have joined the meeting by calling in must press *6 to mute and unmute themselves and *9 to raise their hand. Members of the public who have joined the meeting via the Zoom application must click the reactions icon and then the raise hand icon. Once the process is complete, we will return to the regular order of business.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the chat that'd like to speak to us? No. Mr. Eldridge, I know you're here to speak. I know this is agenda items, but I know you have a meeting to go to at the Legion. So if you'd like to present to us, you can. Just state your name, please.
Thank you, sir. My name is Steve Eldridge. I live at 40 Turnberry Road here in Little Falls. I am also the first vice commander of the Little Falls American Legion Post 108 here in Singa. I have lived in Little Falls for almost 30 years, and during that time, I have heard quite a bit about the history of our town. But I was very surprised several months ago when I learned that our quiet little town was the home of a Congressional Medal of Honor winner from World War II. I couldn't figure out a reason why our town wasn't beaming with pride about the young man who was probably the most famous Little Falls native of all time, at least in my opinion. I think this is a good time, though, to correct this oversight. The United States Marine Corps Private Franklin E. Sigler was awarded the nation's highest medal for his heroic actions above and beyond the call of duty in the closing days of the battle for Iwo Jima in World War II. He single-handedly changed the course of the battle and saved the lives of many of his fellow Marines. He was also severely wounded himself. After recovering from his wounds and leaving the Corps, he came home to Little Falls and joined the Little Falls Police Department, eventually rising to the rank of detective. He was recognized with a small plaque bearing his name on the Union Avenue Bridge crossing the Passaic River. We think he deserves more. I am here this evening to request the council consider a resolution to rename the Memorial Park or the Tank Park or Wilmore Park. I've heard it called all three names, a couple of them even tonight. And I would request that it be named, officially designated the Frank Sigler Memorial Park. If enacted, it might be appropriate to make this change effective on November 11th when we recognize our veterans at the town's Veterans Day ceremony. I believe the Historical Society supports this. I know our local American Legion Post supports this, and I hope you, the council, will support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eldridge. Are there any questions or comments from the floor to Mr. Eldridge? Councilwoman Havelitz?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Eldridge, for coming to this meeting today. Last year at Wilmore Park, we had repainted the gazebo, and I was actually speaking to Herb and Alan Stone about maybe renaming the gazebo after someone, and they were going to give me a list of veterans. I think this is a great idea, and we'll talk to the council definitely to see what we can do. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments from the floor? Mayor, anything on this?
Yes, a couple of years ago, so not about this request in particular, but about Mr. Sigler. I know a couple of years ago, the plaque that was located on the Union Ave Bridge seemed to have gone missing. And there was an issue. Actually, I think it had been removed, and then it was eventually found at some point by our DPW where they had stored it. And on the plaque itself, because Mr. Sigler was a Marine, I believe there were portions of the plaque that did not honor him as a Marine. And our former business administrator, Mr. Cuccia, being a Marine himself, was offended that he was not honored as a Marine properly on the plaque. And thanks to Council President Anthony Scoba, he was instrumental in having a new plaque made for Mr. Sigler, properly recognizing him as a Marine, which is now located on that bridge. Mr. Sigler is certainly a gem in Little Falls. There are not, as you know, very many Medal of Honor winners, him being one of the very few in the nation's history. And having a name such as this, because you're right, there is certainly confusion over the name of Wilmore Park, Tank Park, Memorial Park. It has certainly been called all three. I've called it all three myself. I've heard it called all three. I don't know that any are correct or incorrect, but giving it a new name is something that I can certainly discuss further with this council and see if it's the direction that they would like to go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hilton. Is there anyone else that'd like to come before us? No one in the chat, correct? Can I have a motion to close the public comment?
So
Moved by Councilman Vanchery, second by Councilman Havelitz. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Can I have a motion to approve consent agenda? This is a roll call.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Patel, second by Councilman Vanchery. Madam Clerk, roll call on the consent agenda, please.
Councilmember Patel?
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Councilmember Havlet?
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery?
yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes, Madam Clerk, read ordinance 1497, please.
Second reading and public hearing of ordinance number 1497, an ordinance entitled 2024 Little Falls Salary Ordinance.
Thank you. The public hearing on ordinance 1497 is now open. Does anyone wish to speak on 1497? Anyone in our chat that'd like to speak on 1497? Seeing no one come before us here in and council chambers not speaking on 1497. The public hearing on 1497 is now closed. Can I have a motion to adopt 1497?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Havelitz,
Second.
second by Councilman Vanchery. This is a roll call to adopt 1497.
Councilmember Patel?
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Councilmember Havlet?
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery?
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes, Madam Clerk, read ordinance 1498, please.
Introduction of ordinance number 1498, an ordinance entitled Stormwater Control Ordinance with a second reading and public hearing scheduled for September 9th, 2024.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to introduce 1498?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Vanchery,
Second.
second by Councilman Murphy. Madam Clerk, there's a roll call. Please call the roll for 1498.
Councilmember Patel?
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Councilmember Havlet?
Yes.
Councilmember Vanchery?
Yes.
Council President Scoba.
Yes, can I have a motion to open the meeting for public and general matters?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Murphy, second by Councilman Vanchery. There's a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk.
Anyone wishing to address the Township Council may do so through the Council President. It is preferred if you give your name and address for the record. However, I'm sorry. Comments are to be limited to 3 minutes. However, if appropriate, you may be granted additional time in the sole discretion of the Council President. Members of the public who have joined the meeting virtually and desire to provide comment shall raise their virtual hand in the Zoom application. Meeting moderator will cue the members of the public that wish to provide comment, and the Council President will recognize them in order. Members of the public who have joined the meeting by calling in must press *6 to mute and unmute themselves and *9 to raise their hand. Members of the public who have joined the meeting via the Zoom application must click the reactions icon and then the raise hand icon. Once the process is complete, we will return to the regular order of business.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the chat that'd like to speak to us this evening? Jen. Jen, can you hear us? Hello, Jen?
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes. Just state your name, please.
My name is Jennifer Coppola.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for listening this evening. I just want to keep this as brief as possible, as this is an ongoing issue, and I really want assistance from Township at this point. I'm a homeowner and resident of Little Falls for 31 years. I'm having an ongoing issue with my next door neighbors with excessive noise. And it's noise in as far as excessive with music blasting. Also vehicles that I don't know, like they sound like semi trucks. 5:30 this morning, I was awakened by a vehicle from that property. It sounds like a semi, and then there's revving and there's all kinds of things going on. So I really can't use my yard on a regular basis. I have difficulty opening my windows with this noise, and this has been documented for 3 years. This situation has been worse since my husband passed away, which was 3 years ago. It's getting worse with the retaliation as I try to protect myself and my family and my household. It affects our daily lives. I lost a tenant, which is documented, and I have a current tenant who is a wonderful person that I don't want to lose from my property. He's good. This affects my neighbors, and everyone else is very very respectful. There's a baby next door. There's no consideration for any of us. Like, these people just want to run roughshod over us, and I'm not having that anymore.
It's, I'm sorry, your last name was Capola. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, it's Coppola. That's correct.
Ms. Capola, what I'd like you to do is to reach out first thing tomorrow to Vince Controne, our business administrator. And
Let me jot that down.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Let me jot that down.
Yes.
Council President, if I may, what I would suggest, ma'am, is in the event of an issue, I'd ask that while the noise is loud, you immediately contact the police department so that they.
I've done that for 3 years.
So, Ms. Capola, reach out to Vince Controne tomorrow morning. He's our business administrator.
I will do that.
Okay, do that, and then the mayor and myself will circle back to that conversation that you have. And if we need to bring the chief in as well, we'll do so, or the building inspector as well. So please do that, okay?
Thank you. Thank you for your time this evening. I appreciate you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Melissa, is there anyone else that'd like to speak in the chat? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in this governing chambers that'd like to speak before us? You just need to state your name, not your address.
Anna Crozier, 171 First Ave.
Thank you. Good evening.
So my house was recently broken into while we were sleeping at night. We have 4 known police reports that have been filed of them trying to attempt to steal our vehicles. Unfortunately, this time they were able to enter my home. Our neighbor up the street, their house also got broken into a few weeks ago. They went through their kitchen window. They found them standing in their kitchen at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm asking if we could please have lights on First Avenue. It is very dark. There are two current lights. They are very dim. The street is very quiet at night. And there are a lot of activity going up and down the street. Cars speed up and down all day long, thinking that that street is a cut-through street, which it is not. Now that my house has been broken into, I'm up all night long and I see the activity that's going on up and down all night long. I'm thinking if we light it up a little bit, make it a little brighter, put in a sign saying dead end, maybe this would stop. This is, again, the 5th time that they have done this and they were in my.
Well, thank you for having the courage to come before this governing body, and I'm awfully sorry of that situation that happened to you here in this town. This governing body, along with the mayor, prides themselves on putting a lot of resources into the police department. Apparently, right. And thank you. Thank you. But it seems like we always have more work to do. We will take a look at the lighting situation. If we'll work on that and get PSE&G or to put up more lights. And also, it's duly noted the chief is sitting in her presence about what he could do in that neighborhood as well. So thank you for coming before us. That takes a lot of courage. Thank you.
It's just very dark and
Yep.
now I'm watching every night, so I know.
Well, we want you to have a good night's sleep. We don't want you to be up. Mayor, any comment on this?
Sure. What I'd like you to do is if you can send me an email so we can coordinate on this a little bit. What we can do is PSE&G is willing to add lights to poles if we have to provide them with the pole numbers. It's a bit of work on our end, not a major issue, but we have to fill out some paperwork, submit it to them, approve that we will pay for the light annually, things like that. So what we can do is maybe we can coordinate, we can ask them to change some of the light heads that currently exist to the new LED light heads. They are much brighter. In fact, half of the time when people have requested one, I end up getting a complaint after, even though I warned them, they are substantially brighter. Some people say they shine into the bedroom. Some people say it's very bright. I've noticed they are somewhat directional down towards the street. They don't really spill over much. So I would only warn you of that, but I'm also happy to work with you and coordinate adding some lights to the roadway as well as changing some of the current light heads to the new LEDs, because that's the only ones that they're installing when we ask for new installs. But I'd be happy to, coordinate with you, pick particular poles. We can walk up and down the street, see where we might be able to do that and add some of those new lights.
Thinking that maybe if the street's a little brighter, they'll won't be so brazen to come into my home or anybody else's home on our street. We know what's happening. And if maybe we could just stop it by brightening up Little Falls a little bit, maybe that will help. I don't know.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think unique to Little Falls, but we have seen criminals more brazen in their acts over these past handful of years. certainly going to new lengths to find car keys or whatever it may be. It makes me scratch my head on some other topics and issues. But certainly something, the lights may be one way to help, get them out of that area. Absolutely.
All right, thanks, guys.
Does the governing body have any comments?
Yeah, I was just gonna,
To the floor, Councilman Vanchery.
I was gonna say too, because I know you mentioned too some speeding concerns. If you can work with the chief and the traffic division can look into this on First Ave, maybe some patrol or put a box up just to see what the speed is on that street.
I
And
think what the problem is because they think that it cuts through Francisco or even Cedar Grove First Ave. You know, it's a double wide street. It's a beautiful street. So they come flying up. They get to the end, they realize, oh no, it's a dead end. So once they turn around, now they're losing time. So it's, they're speeding out of there. So I don't know if something could be, done
Yeah,
about
the
that.
traffic department's been great about looking into it, because ironically, earlier this year, they looked into Second Avenue, same thing was happening, so they were able to address it. So yeah, if you can follow up with the police department, they can definitely look into that as well for you.
If you send me an email, what I'll do is I'll get
Yeah.
your response with the link in order to fill out the form. And what that will allow our traffic division and our chief to do is to get your contact information and coordinate directly with you where you think speeding is the worst, where they might be able to set up a speed study, and then they can talk to you after about the results and whatever the findings may be.
Councilman.
To the floor, Councilman Murphy.
Yeah, too. I know Councilman Vanchery too. Maybe we can, I know Lincoln Ave, I believe, has it, some dead end signs. Maybe we're looking into that. Posting some of those on First Avenue. This way they don't think that it's like Second Avenue where it's a cut through and they could kind of speed down it. Maybe we could put some of those dead end signs
Yeah,
to make it a little
we-
visible.
W about that.
It does seem that, again, this is the 5th time we've bought them in my driveway. We've bought them on the street. Fortunately, we have not gotten them, but it seems like, they put the pedal to the metal when they're leaving and they think they're going that way and they're not, and they have to turn back around. And I actually had a police officer writing the report and the car drove right past them. This was probably maybe last December, I think it was, or January. So it's been an ongoing issue. I have unfortunately nice cars and they want them. And they're gonna do whatever they can to try to get them.
Well, you should not have to worry about the cars you buy in the community you live in. So we're grateful to come before us. We are instituting some other new programs this year to help prevent this happening. I don't want to make it public at this point. But we're going to be working on stronger safety initiatives where the police department has a good grip on who's coming in and out of our community.
And again, Little Falls did amazing when they came. They were there for 4 hours and they were very thorough. They did everything they needed to do.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Is there anyone in the chat again? No? Okay. Have a motion to close the public comment?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Murphy, second by Councilman Vanchery. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. I want to thank the staff for working with me and putting this agenda on for this evening. Have a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Murphy, second by Councilman Havelis. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? This meeting is now closed.